Why are used Mercedes-Benz so cheap? We found out exactly the hard reason why. Now, we've had a few issues over the last 4 years, and I want to summarize a little bit of that and how we resolved it. But more importantly, with all of those repairs and issues that we've had, the contemplation of selling this vehicle, moving it out of the way, and buying something different, whether we buy another used one or something brand new, really does come to mind. Should we sell our used Mercedes? Let's get into it now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
Now, generally, we've always seen greatest value by buying used luxury cars, usually 2 or 3 years old. That's way you still have a wee bit of warranty left, and you're still able to get the maximum service life. And we still stand true to that. But we've had some issues with this. Now, we bought this 2018 back in around 2020, and we've had it now going on for 5 years, 4 to 5 years. And in that time, we've gone from 30,000 kilometers up to now has 60,000 kilometers on it. Now, the ownership costs haven't been that high, but some of the costs on depreciation have been. And we talk about why are used luxury cars so cheap and why are used Mercedes so cheap. You get smack dab in the depreciation curve, and because of the cost of maintenance and servicing and all of the other factors, they drop in value very quickly. Now, with that said, we paid for this vehicle about $45,000, and now looking on scouring the market for vehicles comparables, probably with similar mileage, similar spec, we're starting to see these in that $30,000 to $35,000 range. That would put us at about a $10,000 to $15,000 loss in about that 4 to 5 year range. You know, $2,500 to $3,000 per year on depreciation. It's not amazing. It's not great, but it is what it is. And so we were expecting that, and we know the expectation for us is when we buy our cars, we hold on to them for a long time. And so with that, we know that we're gonna see and feel some depreciation, and we did. When you ask the question, why are used Mercedes-Benz so cheap? That's why they are. They depreciate so heavily. And the question becomes, do we want to continue owning this vehicle, or should we just kick it to the curb? So this beautiful little 2018 has very low mileage. So I looked at MSRP for a brand new version of this. You're up around $62,000. Base sedan version of this with the all-wheel drive, you're about 60 grand. Now, what if you're doing something a little different? A lot of you say, buy a Lexus, buy a Lexus. If we were to buy a Lexus, the comparable would be like an IS 300 because of the Turbo 4, and with the all-wheel drive system, you're a little over $52,000, $53,000. Now, that said, by the time you put taxes, tips, paint protection film on the vehicle, you're likely going to see a significant increase. So that Lexus now becomes 60 grand after taxes and all the extras and paint protection film, and the Mercedes becomes closer to $70,000. So now, to reach a car like this, if we were to sell this for 30 grand and then we want to step up to say even the Lexus, now we're having to dish out another $30,000, or to get another new version of this, we'd have to step up 40 grand to actually get a new one. So selling this now, you have to ask yourself the question, what if all the failures that we may see in the next few years is less than the cost of that differential? Because it's nice to have new cars, but the car still looks new, drives new. And yeah, we've had a few issues, but it still runs quite well. But that being said, there are some maintenance items to talk about here too. One thing that we have to talk about is these tires are just about gone. So if you're comparing this to buying a brand new one, you have to think about those costs. So if we need to put a new set of skins on this, because these tires are getting down a little bit, they're not bald, but they're getting down. So we're gonna have to put a new set of tires on this car. That's probably gonna set us back a couple $1,000s. Then if we're gonna put a set of brakes, even if I buy the discs and the pads myself and I do that maintenance myself, you're probably looking at another $2,000. So now we'll call that 4 grand for tires and brakes. Then of course we talk about some of the other factors that pop up. God forbid, hopefully we don't have any issues, but things like water pumps, cooling lines, those, once you start to hit that 80, 100,000 kilometers, that's where you start seeing some of those other maintenance items. So I would almost expect another $5,000 in some smaller maintenance items. Let's hope that the engine and transmission are good and we're just dealing with smaller maintenance items. It's always a gamble when you're owning used vehicles. They could last for 350,000 miles or they might not. And so we have to think about that. So if we're talking about tires, brakes, and as well unforeseeables, another 5 grand in maintenance in the next few years, we're probably talking about $10,000 to keep this vehicle on the road well serviced and in really good shape. If you're liking the video so far, you're gonna love the rest of the channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and don't forget the notifications bell so you know when the next amazing video is coming. Now, one thing to think about is when you buy a brand new vehicle, a lot of people say, you know what, you have warranty, you don't have issues, but that couldn't be further from the truth, because the way we've seen in the latest trend of the automotive space, and not necessarily exclusive to Mercedes, but almost every brand, the overall reliability seems to be slightly lower than we've seen in previous years. Not only that, technology is increasing and some of those problems start to reappear. Now we're talking about the latest Mercedes, the W206, which would be a replacement for this. You're talking about now a mild hybrid. You have extra technology under there. On top of it, you have a similar engine, although a revised version of that 2-liter. Now you have some unknowns, some new tech in there. You don't know what to expect. And I'll tell you right now, with this vehicle, we had issues, sensors. A lot of these sensors on here, or sensors, the headlights wouldn't necessarily work, or one light would work, the other one wouldn't. And we had problems with all kinds of sensors, safety features, technology, and a lot of those codes were coming up on the dashboard last winter. We believe it was because water washing under the hood because of a sloppy oil change created all kinds of problems, because after that dealer actually washed under the hood, we started getting these weird glitches and faults. And anybody who knows anything about mechanical equipment and engines knows you don't spray pressurized water under the hood. But either way, that happened after a service, and then all of a sudden we start getting these weird codes and faults, and it seems to happen a lot more when we get into the colder weather. As well, we have a squeaky noise. I don't know what it is. The dealer couldn't differentiate and couldn't say whether it was a tire, a bearing, a front axle, because now we have the all-wheel drive system, and they really couldn't find the problem, but there's a definitive squeaking noise we're just living with. And you know how it is when you buy a used car, own a used car, there's those little things that just are always bugging you, but after a while you just sort of get used to it. We also had, you know, body panels like this. Look how sloppy that is. So body panels, this popped off on us after hitting a set of train tracks, but also this speaker right here also popped into the door cavity as well after we hit the same set of tracks. So there are some problems with it. We've had some cosmetic issues. There are a few squeaks and rattles, but overall the car drives nice, follows a straight line, and we've overall enjoyed the use of the vehicle. Do we continue doing that? Now that we know where it's been, we know we're the second owners, we know what we've done to it, we know the track record, is that maybe now the time to actually keep it and drive the wheels off it? We also know how to do some of the maintenance, because I did the last set of maintenance on this myself. I did the oil change, which was quite easy. I just sucked the oil out through the dipstick. I have an oil sucker there, basically a hand pump, and that's a lot of times how the dealers do it anyhow. I also did the air filters, cabin air, and you know, coolant might be in due here coming up, but I did some of the basic maintenance here this last winter, and of course I've already know where it's been. It's also got a new battery, so that's not going to be an issue. But we've also had the PCV valve issue become a problem, because any of the engines like the C300 or GLC 300 had an extended warranty by Mercedes-Benz to replace that should it fail, should you see that positive crankcase ventilation fault, and we saw it, took it into the dealer, they replaced it, and if you were to pay for it out of pocket, that's going to be in that $3,000 range, $700 for the part, and then on top of it the labor was quite extensive. They had to remove a whole bunch of parts on the engine, actually lift it off of a motor mount, and there was a lot of work. It was basically tied up at the dealership all day. So there's a lot of work, but we also know it's been completed. So we sort of know what we have now. We know what's been going on, and we know the track record of this Mercedes-Benz. Now I run the car loan calculator, and then I think about if I upgraded to a new Lexus, that's a $30,000 difference. $30,000 at about a 9% interest rate, you're dealing with something that looks like a $650 a month car payment on 5 years. Because I don't believe in the 84 month, that's way too long. Most people are negative equity and losing money by that point. So I try to keep it in that 3, 4, 5 year range, but let's go worst case scenario 5 years. Technically you should go less. I personally suggest 3 to 4 years. If I want a new version of this car, the Mercedes-Benz, as I already mentioned, you're running that number, same 9% interest charges, but on top of it, now we're talking $40,000 difference, and you're looking at a 5 year term of $850 a month. So to get into a brand new one of these, now you're looking at a scenario, you're spending anywhere from $600–700 a month, or almost $1,000 a month, depending on which trend you go, which model you go. Now that doesn't seem like a good use of money, especially when you consider the cost of living crisis, and you could put your money into other things. So I think of it more in the terms of, okay, at $600–700 a month, you think of the potential failures. In 2 months, okay, I need to do a set of tires, that's 3 months worth of payments. How about the brakes? Same thing, another 3 or 4 months worth of payments. So within 3/4 of a year of making those payments, I've paid for the replacement of the brakes and tires. Now I start to think about the value add. What am I getting with the new cars? Well, really not much. The Lexus hasn't changed that much. It's a beautiful car, but there's not much new going on there, and maybe that's for good reason. Maybe that's a reason to buy it. But then Mercedes-Benz, it hasn't changed much. Slight upgrade to the engine, mild hybrid. So there are some updates there, but largely going to feel like the same car. It's going to give you the big, more digital display on it. But trust me, after spending some time behind the wheel of some of those cars, the honeymoon's over after 2 or 3 days. So ultimately what you're getting is more of the same, but more unpredictability and the probability of new issues arising. Not to mention, you know, there's something we call the bathtub curve. So it's the probability rate of failures. So there's what they call early infant mortality. So when you first take your vehicle off the lot, there's a high probability of a bunch of failures. And a lot of that's because, you know, bolts weren't done up. You know, maybe plug-ins weren't put on properly. Maybe there's some recalls that weren't addressed yet. So there's an early bunch of failures. But as time goes on, usually by the time you're 1 year to 2 years in, the curve rate of failures goes down, okay? So it drops down. Then you go through a bunch of years of relative consistency, fairly durable driving and motoring, and then you start to see this increase again. So it's shaped like a bathtub, right? So they call it the bathtub curve because at the tail end, you're no longer infant mortality, you're at the end of life mortality for these vehicles, and now you're starting to see more issues. Oil consumption, knocking, timing chains getting sloppy and the tensioners are getting loose. Auto transmissions may be starting to slip, rear differential howling. You know, neglect and abuse will take its toll, but even with good maintenance, vehicles just wear. That's just what they do. Then you have to think about what's going to be the cheaper way. You know, owning this for as long as we can or getting into something brand new. You're dealing with the infant mortality, but you're not dealing with the end of life stuff yet, because now you've got, you know, this one's a 2018. Now you've got 8 years advantage on this, but you're doing it at the cost of anywhere from $700 to $1,000. So the real question becomes, do you sell this or do you buy a brand new one? Now, we personally love the looks of this car, and it's going to be hard to replace because I truly believe the W204, the older, more conventional Mercedes-Benz before this, was probably the creme de la creme for C-Class. And then you have this, and I love the looks of it. I feel like this is very contemporary, but yet very modern, and certainly very classic from Mercedes. Gives you that big, beautiful grille on there. And we love the car, we love the looks of it, we love the coupe, and it's gonna be a very hard to find color combination with that gorgeous blue and the light interior bone color or beige interior. It's an absolute gorgeous combination. The chrome just seems to do it just right. So yes, you can always find something new. Yes, you can always find something interesting as well. And sometimes change is good. It's the devil you know or the devil you don't know, right? We know what we have here. We also don't have car payments. So if you're thinking about the fact that how many more miles can we get on this? The car only has like 60,000 kilometers on it. Do we believe that we can get this car up to 250,000 kilometers relatively trouble-free? If we believe that that's the case, then it's probably worth. If we think this car will only go to 130,000 kilometers, then we better hurry up and get rid of it in a hurry. Toot sweet, right? But ultimately, that's always the guessing game. Buying into this technology. See, what's happening now, and Lexus and Toyota owners can absolutely attest to, is a lot of those owners now are starting to backdate. The popularity of some of their older V8s, the 5.7 and the Tundras, are becoming more popular. People aren't gravitating to the new Tundra anymore because the 3.4s had so many quality problems. Same with the GR Corolla. Some people love it. The Turbo 3 is high strung. It's really only those, not for the meek, mild, and mannered, but it's for those that really want that fire-breathing dragon. That said, the regular Corolla is about as exciting as vanilla yogurt. The Camry is an amazing car. Now it's only hybrid, and a lot of people say, look, I want the old XSE with the V6. And that's the thing. What you're finding is a lot of people going back, saying, look, even the Toyota 4Runner, I don't want that 2.4, I want the older V6. So now, same thing with Mercedes. Is there going to be a tipping point, where that newer technology is just in too much? Now you know you're going to have more problems, you know you're going to have more issues, and maybe you just keep what you got? There are many people backdating, buying cars that were 10 years old. Many people suggest that the quality peaked for the automotive industry back in between 2008 and 2012. And I would generally concur with that. I would agree in most cases, not every car. I think there's a lot of junk to be validated. You think BMW's N54 came out in 07, and that was probably one of the biggest crap bombs they've ever made. That was probably the pinnacle for quality, engaging buttons, quality products, You know, you get true wood grain, you get true aluminum, brushed aluminum. Instead of having a plastic that looks like aluminum, they actually had metal or wood. They had parts that felt real, buttons that were click, click, very engaging. They actually made cars that were well made. The engines, the drivetrains were kind of that pre-direct injection, kind of that pre-turbocharging from a lot of brands. And even though turbos were out there, it was really only early in the game, and it was just a breakthrough thing for high performance cars or just a few of those one-offs. But generally, that was the peak in durability. So now I look at this and I'm saying it to myself, well, this has got turbos, direct injection, and it's got a lot of those things that probably aren't the best for longevity. But as long as we know what we've got, maybe we stop right here. I don't know about backdating. I certainly don't see value in that, selling this and then go buy a 10-year-old Mercedes, 15-year-old Mercedes for $8,000. You're probably gonna be welcomed to a whole new host of issues, but we love this car. It's definitely not perfect. Some of the issues were directly related, we believe were human factors, and some of the issues were the car related. But nonetheless, we know what we have. Quality challenges, expensive maintenance, expensive parts, you know, big depreciation are all factors why we're starting to see these prices drop off a cliff. Should I sell it? I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. Keep it or sell it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please do drop a line, tell me more. And with all of that said, we're gonna answer the lifelong questions. Why are used Mercedes so cheap? Hope to see each and every one of you real soon. See you then, bye-bye.